If you think about it, there's over $1 quadrillion worth of financial assets that exists today in the world.
And if Raoul Pal is accurate with his cycle top prediction being between $10 trillion to $12 trillion for the crypto asset class, this would be one of the biggest bull runs in history, so that is always in the back of my mind. What's going on, guys? Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. Let's kick it off with the Bitcoin price chart, and the monthly time frame will be super quick. So we're in a really interesting spot with the monthly RSI. We know the power when this actually pierces and runs, because this historically has been the major moves and all-time highs for Bitcoin for the last 3 cycles. So the monthly RSI is in a really interesting spot, and as we go down to the weekly, we're also in a really interesting spot. So the Bitcoin price chart looks great, but this is all noise until we see that first major move in all-time highs that we've seen each cycle. So this is simply a waiting game. The important level for Bitcoin to hold when you compare the past cycles is holding above the 8-month EMA, currently at 58K. And in past cycles, we saw different waves for the RSI or different chops. We can see a clean rejection off of 70 before a bigger move. We also had some chops here and we had some chops here. This cycle is a bit different because we did go into overbought and then pierced below, but we're still in a very similar position. The reason that I believe, and not financial advice, another bull run comes is because the position of the elections, the halving dates, the cycle lengths from low to top to top. We did a detailed video probably several months ago that's 30 minutes long showing all of these cycle lengths and basically shows the argument, everything shows the argument, 2024 and 2025, not 2026. So I know the markets are boring right now. At this point, I just want price action. I want to see Bitcoin run and to carry the alt market back up. So just based off the position of the monthly RSI compared to past cycles, hopefully we can see a nice move this summer, because if I'm waiting any longer, I might lose my mind. Just need to stay above the 8-month EMA during any volatile moments, which is at 58,000. One other thing I want to mention during a quick Fibonacci retracement on Bitcoin's previous cycle top to its cycle low is Brad Garlinghouse's prediction by the end of 2024 for the crypto asset class to reach $5 trillion. So assuming the crypto asset class at $5 trillion, close to double with where it's at today, and assuming that Bitcoin dominance is around 50%, right now today we are at 54%. So 50% dominance of a $5 trillion market cap is a $2.5 trillion market cap for Bitcoin, meaning that Bitcoin would be well above 120K, assuming 50% for Bitcoin dominance. If Bitcoin dominance goes up to 70% or goes down to the cycle lows around 38%, that could fluctuate. And at this point, after waiting another year, the approval of the spot Bitcoin and the spot Ethereum ETFs, I believe that 100,000 is really close. It's almost just certain. When we're imagining a 42% move, I mean, that doesn't take much. So I want Bitcoin to absolutely explode. I want Bitcoin dominance. If it has to go up higher, that is completely fine. I want it to find its top and do the collapse that we witnessed for alt season in 2021 and 2017. Looking at the returns from the previous cycle top to the all-time high for last cycle, right around 248%, we'll just say 250. And applying that to the next cycle top just for reference to see what level we would have to break the diminishing returns of last cycle. So we'll clone this really quick. We're just going to apply the measured move from the cycle top, and it's right around a 4.236, around 240,000. So to break the diminishing returns of Bitcoin last cycle, we'd have to basically go over 240,000. The last cycle for the Fibonacci retracement, we reached the 3618, even though Bitcoin's market cap reached a perfect 4.236. So for those that believe Bitcoin sees diminishing returns this cycle as this asset class gets bigger, just looking at these Fibonacci extensions, that makes sense. I just want to see the first major move, and considering other catalysts like liquidity, absolutely anything can happen. I shared in detail before what I'll be doing to get a better accurate gauge for Bitcoin cycle top, looking at the Pi cycle top indicator, Collins-Boren index, also the monthly RSI, and comparing, and we're getting a lot closer to these 90 levels. So looking at this cycle in particular for the total crypto market cap, if this cycle we don't far exceed $5 trillion, I'll be disappointed. So I expect we do, especially with the position of the monthly RSI, we're just not quite there yet. When looking at the behavior of the monthly RSI when we are in overbought, it lasts a while, and we have a lot of powerful months for the crypto asset class, multiple months. Even last cycle, although it was shorter for the period of the monthly RSI at these highs, we still had many consecutive months during the bull run. So structurally, for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Total 1, Total 2, Total 3, I'm waiting for those moves up here. And historically, when that happens, euphoria hits the market again, and it's fun to be in crypto. So I'm watching how Bitcoin draws here, looking at the monthly RSI. We break through, we're going to finally run. If we reject, we may take a little longer. It's still entirely possible for us to run a lot sooner, well ahead of elections. The worst case is it's after elections. And not trying to be hypey, but just based off of the monthly RSI right here in tandem with the weekly RSI, both at this level, I believe it can happen a lot sooner. So just wanted to share a few of my looks. You can believe it when we see it. We need to see price action first. So when we see those moves, then it'll be really fun for alts all over again, just like the past alt seasons. Just depending on how high Bitcoin goes first, we can finally look at retracement levels, extension levels, and all-time highs for different alts. And if Raoul Pal is accurate with his cycle top prediction being between $10 trillion to $12 trillion for the crypto asset class, this would be one of the biggest bull runs in history, so that is always in the back of my mind. Alright, let's dive into some recent news. First up, shared by Wendy, we have SEC Chair Gary Gensler on CNBC, and he completely pivots and it appears he's changing his stance on cryptos being securities. So I watched this morning and this was really interesting to see him say that basically he just wants disclosure. It's all about disclosure, 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 just like typical SEC talk. And at least for me, it seems like a very different type of interview or clip from him because in the past they basically did call, just like Wendy says, or claim that every crypto asset was a security. So I'll keep fantasizing about Gary Gensler resigning or going to jail because that would be one hell of a market catalyst. Next up, we also have the clip right here shared by Good Morning Crypto. Listen to this 6-second clip because at the end, basically Jim Cramer says, oh, SEC versus Ripple Labs, you lost that one.
SEC versus Ripple Labs.
Dave, what do you want to ask?
There you go. I've got the floor. Thanks.
Next up, super quick, shared by RippleX, we have the introduction of the new XLS 47 Price Oracle Amendment that is including some fixes to avoid the creation of empty DIDs or decentralized identifiers. And speaking of DIDs, I highly recommend everybody to take this free course that I just finished. This is with OpenEXO and Casper Labs. It's completely free. You can Google OpenEXO Casper Labs Enterprise Blockchain course. Took a few hours, but it was really good for anybody that is a complete beginner because it goes through private keys, hashes, and then you work your way up to more complex topics, understanding enterprise-grade applications, the utility of track and trace for supply chain, leveraging blockchain, AI, all types of things. So I think they did a really great job explaining this for anybody interested, whether you're a founder, business leader, or even just a blockchain enthusiast that just wants to learn a bit more. This was really good. It got me really excited hearing the conversations of the gentlemen at OpenEXO, considering they're partnered with some of the biggest global brands in the Fortune 50. Next up, I wanted to share this clip of Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO. This is shared by Good Morning Crypto. So in previous clips and articles, we've heard that the Ripple US dollar stablecoin should be launching later this year. I know there's a lot of mixed emotions around this.
What does this mean for XRP? Do the two work in tandem, or does the stablecoin supplant XRP's utility?
We are 100% behind the growth and development of the XRP ledger and the health of that market and that ecosystem. We think having a stablecoin built on the XRP ledger actually adds liquidity to the XRP ledger. We already have been using stablecoins in our payment flows, so this is just kind of a natural extension. We'll continue to absolutely prioritize XRP, but there's times and places where our customers want to see US dollar to US dollar using a Ripple stablecoin. We think makes sense in those flows.
And when you say your customers, are you thinking about retail? Or are you thinking about banks? So who is the customer that you're looking at when you say that?
All of Ripple's customers are B2B. We focus on selling blockchain infrastructure into financial institutions. Some that's on custody, that's on payments. We'll continue to really focus on being the leading enterprise-focused blockchain company in the industry.
So I'm looking forward to a successful launch later this year. Utility tokens, security tokens, stablecoins, payment tokens, they're all part of the future, and that could bring a lot of liquidity. So launching a stablecoin on the XRP ledger and Ethereum, potentially connecting these ecosystems. And when they're giving these projections of the stablecoin market when it was around 150 billion, they're projecting it to soar to just shy of 3 trillion by 2028. And 150 billion to 2.8 trillion is over an 18x, and 2.8 trillion for the stablecoin market alone is larger than the entire crypto asset class today. And if that were to happen for just the stablecoin market, imagine Bitcoin's dominance, Ethereum's dominance, and just a variety of assets measured in the trillions. In touching on tokenization, I want to share a clip of RippleX's SVP discussing tokenization, explaining there are over $1 quadrillion of financial assets today. Especially when you consider things like derivatives, and just thinking about 1 quadrillion, it's so hard to even conceptualize because that is 1,000 trillion.
If you think about it, there's over $1 quadrillion worth of financial assets that exists today in the world. They take days to settle and weeks to get issued, and 20% of the world population doesn't even have access to them. Now just imagine what it means to the global economy in terms of productivity, but also prosperity to everyone, if we find ways to operate just 10% more efficiently with these assets, or we can get just 10% of these people who are excluded from the global economy into the global economy. And this is exactly what drives us every single day.
So I thought that was interesting, and I know that tokenization isn't something that happens overnight, but there are literally trillions and trillions of dollars of potential if we can get some of that. I also saw an interesting clip of Paul Barron discussing XRP and Bank of New York, and friendly reminder, just like Good Morning Crypto says here, back in January, BNY Mellon's head of digital asset products departed for Ripple. And as we scroll through this clip, we've gone through BNY Mellon's website before discussing how big they are looking at their AUM. They even say that BNY Mellon is the bank that your bank banks with. And 97% of asset managers believe that tokenization is going to completely revolutionize asset management, finance, etc. So this is a really big deal. And there are so many use cases outside of finance, but finance is one of the biggest and most obvious use cases that most of us understand. But other big use cases include gaming, track and trace, intellectual property, and especially data, just like Constellation's working on. So we can see Generation Infinity right here sat down with Benjamin Diggles, co-founder over at Constellation. So this is during Consensus, I believe. So we have Ryan over here and Ben Diggles. We can see in quotes, we recently had another big approval because I know there were a lot of discussions with different federal contracts. We're looking to go Department of Defense or DoD wide with this. So I know DAG was a top performer in a laggard last cycle, doing over a 70x. Its market cap is still small, so I'm keeping tabs. I just wish I better understood some of the federal things they're working on, but obviously that has to be kept quiet, but they are legitimate. We've gone through data estimates in past videos, just comparing Constellation, a really unique type of network, or technically a DAG. So looking at the DAG price chart, we know is a top performer last cycle when it finally got moving. Notice it didn't take off until January, and Bitcoin is blasting in December. So really just looking at us ranging at these lows, awaiting for that weekly fair value gap to be closed between 12 to 15 cents. I'll also leave this in the top of the YouTube video description. This is the Door Traffic Miner that I did a dedicated video on about 5 months ago, so I'm earning DAG on a daily basis and some Door tokens right in my Stargazer wallet. And of course, earning yield or even just staking assets and earning more assets is 10 times more fun when prices are going up. I checked API 3's staking rate this morning, it is over 43%. So I know API 3 has done fairly well since its cycle lows. I just want to see this get moving and actually perform this cycle, even comparing Fibonacci retracement levels. I mean, this thing has never even seen an all-time high and has over $1 billion in total value secured. So hopefully some of these assets will finally get moving because these staking rewards will definitely feel worth it. And last but not least, guys, we have Merlin linked in the top of the YouTube video description and right in the top of my link tree. This is the smartest way to track your crypto. They've added a bunch more wallets and you can build customized exit plans or exit strategies based off your current holdings. You can set alerts, you can go through your dashboard and just keep track of your portfolio. So you can use the link below and try this completely free for 30 days. I think this is going to be really popular and valuable when we get price action. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description, with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.